Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and I know it's been a hot minute since I've been here, but I will explain that in a later video. But today's video is going to be on this very bold, ombre, colorful brow, and I was recently inspired by the change of hair that I had, and I did a colorful brow, something that I have been wanting to do for quite some time since I went to IMATS earlier this year. And like I said before, 2015 is all about me stepping out of my comfort zone, so I went ahead and did just that, and I rocked a very blue bold brow last week at work. And so a student suggested for me to do an ombre brow, so I went ahead and did just that. I rocked my Richard Sherman jersey, me being a big Seattle fan. Let's not talk about their not off to a great start this season, but I went ahead and I rocked my Richard Sherman jersey, and I went ahead and did the lime green and blue brow to go with it, and the rest of the face is actually pretty natural. So if you want to see how I got this colorful, bold ombre brow, please keep watching. Welcome back, my beauties. So first I'm going to start off with the Urban Decay B6 Vitamin Infused spray to prep my skin. And then I'm going to go in with the Smashbox Photofinish Primer Water, and I'm going to use that as my base primer. Next I'm going to take the LA Girl Pro Conceal Concealer, and this is in the shade, I believe, called Chestnut, and I'm going to use that to contour my face, putting that around the hairline and the contours of my cheeks. And I'm going to also slim down my nose and emphasize that Cupid's bow. Using my, and I'm going to prep my lips as well with the Maybelline Baby Lips chapstick. And then using my Morphe E4 angled blush brush, I'm going to use that to blend in my cream contour color. And I'm just going to very just like sloppily just kind of blend that in. I'm not being too particular because I do want it to, when I put my foundation on, I do want it to blend in and make it look like I have a very natural looking contour. I don't want anything too heavy to start off with. So I'm just going to continue blending, and then I'm going to use my fingers for the smaller parts like my nose and my Cupid's bow to just kind of roughly blend that in. Now I'm going to take the Too Faced Born This Way foundation, and this is in the shade Golden, using my Makeup Geek foundation stippling brush, and I'm going to dot that all over my face, and then I'm going to go in and just buff and blend that in. I really like this foundation because it is medium to full coverage, but it doesn't feel like it's thick or cakey like a full coverage foundation would. It just feels very natural, very light. I absolutely love this foundation. I have been wearing this a lot the last couple of months, and it just feels like second skin. So good. Now I'm going to take the MAC Prolong Wear Concealer, and I'm going to dot that kind of like in a little mini triangle. I'm going to put that underneath my eyes, a little bit on my forehead, down the bridge of my nose, and a teeny tiny bit on the Cupid's bow. And I'm going to take the Morphe G2 to blend that in, but I'm going to dampen it using that Urban Decay Vitamin B6 spray, and that's just going to make it a little bit easier for me to blend in that concealer without there being any harsh lines or any harsh edges. And this is my favorite way to blend in concealer, is by spritzing my brush and just blending it in. I'm also going to take that over my lids to kind of prime my lids, and it's also going to help cover any of the darkness. The MAC Pro Longwear Concealer does have a technology to where it not only primes, but it also helps cover the darkness. It's a really good concealer. Now I'm going to take the Sephora brand, it's a color correcting highlighter stick, very similar to the MAC one, or I actually think it's a little bit more similar to the YSL, I can't pronounce it, but the YSL highlighting stick. It's very lightweight. It's a peachy tone. I think mine's in the shade called medium peach. And what that's going to do is it's going to counter any darkness under my eyes, and it's also going to help kind of brighten, but it's not going to be too bright. Now I'm taking the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder, and I'm going to bake that concealer. This is my favorite way to set my concealer because it's the only way that the oils from my face doesn't break up that under eye area. It is absolutely amazing, and I'm using the Real Techniques Bold Metals Collection blush brush to set that because it just fits perfectly in the under eye socket of my face. Now moving on to the brows, we're going to take the Urban Decay Electric Palette, and I'm going to go into the shade called Thrash, and it's a very bright lime green color. And I'm going to start off by outlining the front part of my brow with Thrash, and then with whatever's left over, I'm going to start sweeping that into the brow, and then going back and forth, I'm just going to kind of fade out whatever's left over so that way there's a nice transition. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, again just outlining that front portion of the brow, and then taking with whatever's left over on that brush and start sweeping in some of the pigment, and then going back in with a little bit more to just kind of intensify the color. Double checking to make sure that they're both kind of even. Now I'm going to go into the shade called Freak, and it's a little bit lighter and it has a little bit more blue in it, and I'm just going to again start outlining, and then with whatever's left over I'm going to fill in, and then I'm going to blend in the two, going in back and forth stroking motions to blend in Thrash and Freak together. And then at the tail end, I'm going to do the same thing and just kind of start blending it out. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I have to be a little bit more careful with this, my left side of my eyebrow, because I do have that scar and that gap. So I have to take a little bit of extra time. If you do tend to have more sparse brows, just work in the product. Don't try to apply all of it all at once. Just slowly start to build, and then don't forget to, with whatever's left over, blend out the edges, so that way when you pick up your next color, it doesn't like create a line. So just go ahead and just start blend, going back and forth. And then I'm going to take the shade called Gonzo, and then this is a very bright turquoisey blue, and I'm going to, from the middle arch towards the tail end of my brow, I'm going to outline again, and then with whatever is left over, I'm going to just fill in the brow. That is the way that I can get the colors to blend, is if I outline the brow, or that section of brow that I'm working on, and then using whatever's left over on my brush and just filling it in. That helps kind of soften up that gradient. So now for the tail end of my brow, I'm going to use the shade called Gonzo, and then this is a very dark electric blue. So I'm just, again, like I've been doing this whole time, is outlining, making sure that I'm following, the shape of my brow, and then with whatever is left over, I'm going to start just blending the shades together, so that way there is a nice gradient and there is no harsh lines. That is the key to doing this ombre brow, this very colorful ombre brow, is to outline whatever's left over on the brush, kind of sweep it back and forth, trying to blend it in, and then go in with a little bit more pigment to build up the color. That is the way that I found that is the easiest to keep all of the colors blending without it creating lines. Now I'm going to take a little bit of concealer and an angled brush, and I'm just going to carve out that lower portion of my brows. What this is going to do is it's going to ensure that that bottom line, even though there's a ton of colors that are there, it's going to make sure it looks nice and blended, and it's going to give a nice crisp edge. I'm going to take the LORAC Behind the Scenes eyeshadow primer. I'm just going to use my fingers to apply that all over the lid up into where that concealer is, and I'm going to take the shade from my LORAC Pro 2 palette called Buff on a flat shader brush. I'm going to sweep that all over the lid, and I'm going to take that also upwards to my brow bone where I concealed the edge of my brows. And what this is going to do is it's going to set the eyeshadow primer. Now, taking my Sedona Lace 928 blending brush, I'm going to take the shade called Nectar, and I'm going to sweep that all in the crease, and I'm going to make sure I blend upwards. So I'm going to concentrate that in the center and then blend upwards. Now I'm going to take the shade called Light Brown, and I'm just going to layer that, and it's just going to deepen up the crease for me for just a little bit and give my eyes a little bit more dimension. And I'm just going to blend that out. Alrighty, moving forward, I'm going to finish by pressing that translucent powder into my skin and kind of sweeping off any excess powder, making sure that there is no creasing and making sure that it's nice and blended in to the rest of my face. So now I'm going to take the Too Faced Cocoa Contour Kit, and I'm going to take the shade called Medium Cocoa and my NARS Ita brush, and I'm just going to etch out that hollow of my cheek to give me the illusion of cheekbones. And I just go back and forth motions to really emphasize that hollow, so that way I have the illusion of cheekbones, because I do not have any. And if you notice me like kind of looking off to the side, I am watching Dancing with the Stars since I didn't get to watch it last night. That is why you see me constantly looking, because I'm looking up at the TV. Now I'm going to take the shade called Dark Cocoa, and taking that Morphe E4, I'm just going to go ahead and start bronzing up my face, because for whatever reason, this foundation tends to give me a little bit of a lighter complexion, which in actuality, it's not light. It actually matches my skin tone very well. So I'm going to use this as a bronzer to give some warmth to my face. That way I'm not so pale. Taking a little bit of that medium cocoa, I'm just going to contour my nose a little bit using that NARS Ita brush. And then I'm going to take my Real Techniques Dome Shadow Brush, and I'm just going to use that to blend, so that way it's not harsh and it's just a nice seamless blend. The MAC Black Track Gel Liner with the Sigma Winged Liner brush, and I'm just going to start creating my wing on that upper lash line. How I like to start it is I like to start it from the corner of my eye towards the lower lash line, and then just go upwards in like towards the tail end of my brow, and then I'll go from that stopping point, and then I will just sweep it in, kind of creating almost like a triangle, and then I like to fill it in and then take it step by step and filling in from the inner corner to the outer corner. So I just make my way to that inner corner and then just connect it to that wing, so that way there's a nice it's not like choppy by any means. So I just take that upwards, create a triangle, and then I fill in that triangle, and if I need to extend that wing, I will, and I will double check to make sure that my wings are as similar as possible. And then I just go from the inner part of the eye to the wing, and in just like small little strokes, that way it's nice and close to that lash line, and then that way it's nice and precise. Next, I'm going to take the NYX Crystal Gel Liner, and this is the Silver Glitter Liner. I think it's called Crystalline. And I'm just going to line that upper part of the black winged liner just to give it a little bit of sparkle, since I didn't do too much on the actual eyeshadow. It just gives the eye look a little something extra. Now I'm going to go back into the LORAC Pro 2 palette, and I'm going to use light brown to just add a little bit of color to that lower lash line, since it was pretty bare and I'm not using a liner at the bottom. I'm just using that just to give it a little bit of softness, and just not so much smoky, but it just does give the eye look a little bit of softness. Now I'm going to take the MAC stripped down lip pencil, and I'm just going to line my lips, and then I'm going to take the MAC Stone matte lipstick and fill in the rest of my lips. I am obsessed with this color right now. It's so perfect for fall. I absolutely love it. I'm going to do a tutorial here in the next couple of days that utilizes it again. So now I'm going to take the Anastasia Beverly Hills Powder Illuminator, and this is in the shade Riviera. It is so beautiful. It's a cool tone rose gold, but it doesn't make people with tan skin look too ashy. So I'm just dusting that with my Real Techniques setting brush on the tops of my cheekbones. And I just love the highlighted look that it gives me. It just makes my skin look so dewy and so glowy, but it's not chunky and it's not glittery either. It's just this beautiful, perfect, radiant sheen that is just swept across the tops of my cheekbones. So, so gorgeous. I'm also going to put that on the tip of my nose and on my Cupid's bow just to give it a little something extra. And that does it for this tutorial, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye!